Hello there and welcome back to the Biocraft channel, where today I will be ranking the 5 explorable planets in Jedi Fallen Order. So these planets include Bagana, Zephyr, Kashyyyk, Daphne, and Ilim, and I will be ranking them from worst to best, 5 being the worst and 1 being the best. Now, I don't particularly hate any planets, each come with their pros and cons. However, this ranking is mostly focusing on aspects such as aesthetics, story, enemies, and etc. on the first playthrough of these planets. So basically, when you first travel to the planets, which one of them are the most exciting and which are not. By far, in my opinion, Daphne is the worst planet in Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. From the spiders to its confusing maze-like routes, my first playthrough of Daphne sucked. So, basically, the map is really confusing and you can get lost very easily. I always have trouble getting from the Night Brother village to the Swamp of Sacrifice, always getting stuck and lost between the two. Not to mention that there are 5 levels to the map, each one with its own complicated mazes and routes. The enemies are not hard to defeat, but annoying at times, especially the spiders whenever they explode and all of the venom goes onto the floor. However, during my other playthroughs, Daphne wasn't as bad. I still disliked the planet, but when you start to understand its map layout, you start to like it a little bit more. Don't get me wrong, I still don't like traveling to the planet, but it isn't as bad as my first playthrough. This is why Daphne deserves its rank as 5. In 4th place is Zephyr. Now don't get me wrong, Zephyr is a beautiful planet with amazing scenery and large amounts of story. I'm not complaining about those things, however, what makes me put Zephyr where it is due to the size of the planet. Zephyr is massive, with so many routes and levels to the map, 4 to be exact. The planet is just confusing on the first playthrough, especially when you are trying to find where to go. For example, during your first playthrough of the game, you are tasked to make your way to the tomb. Now this might not seem bad, but this tomb is on the other side of the map, and is just confusing and time consuming to get there from the beginning to the tomb and back. I just hate the tomb puzzles involved in the planet, and it's such a relief to get them done. Put simply, the size of Zephyr is what makes the planet come in 4th place. Ilim comes in at a number 3 for me, as it is kinda in the middle. On one hand, Ilim is a cool planet, pun intended, where you get to pick the color of your kyber crystal, and overall, the map layout isn't that bad, even if I did get stuck on one part for like 30 minutes because I didn't really know what to do in the Jedi Temple section on my first playthrough. On the other hand, however, due to our lightsaber being broken in the story, there was a lack of enemies to battle. This made it feel very slow to progress and wasn't really that exciting or really had any consequence on the character. Apart from this, Ilim is not annoying, nor is it bad in any aspect. The reason why it is in 3rd place is due to the lack of exploration and rewards, quite the opposite to Zephyr actually, where the map isn't that big. It is more of a one-path type of thing. Ilim is just a planet you forget about after you are done with it, and as you play more through the story, Ilim feels like a one-stop spot where you get in and get out. It's not a memorable planet where you have to work hard to get something out of it, and therefore you just kinda forget about it after you are done. It's such a shame really, because Ilim is such a cool planet, and it feels like Ilim could have had a little more expanded for a much deeper story, but it isn't, and therefore I place it in 3rd place. In 2nd place is Bagana. Bagana is also a really nice looking planet with very nice scenery, and the story in it is pretty good. The planet feels like it is balanced between the size, not too big and not too small, and has the right amount of puzzles and story in it to make it feel fresh. On my first playthrough of the planet, I didn't find it too hard or too easy, allowing me to think whilst not having to overthink and spend too much time trying to figure out one part. Remember, I am talking about the first playthrough here. Many other players don't like Bagana due to the lack of atmosphere, but as a first playthrough planet, the tutorial aspects of Bagana are pretty clever. Bagana is also one of those planets where you explore for its story. In the story, you go to Bagana to see the Jedi Temple at the really end, which adds a little bit more to the atmosphere. However, at some times, it does feel bland after your second or third playthrough of the game. However, I did put it in second due to its first playthrough type of thing. Since I'm talking about the first playthrough, Bagana fits in very well in second place as it's a balanced planet with enough story and puzzles to keep you going on your first playthrough. Now at number 1 is Kashyyyk. Kashyyyk is one of those planets where the story really captures your attention. As soon as you get to Kashyyyk, you are put into a mission style playthrough which makes you climb into an AT-AT and control it. The Shio Bird and Ninth Sister battle were really cool and enjoyable. The scenery is not as great as other planets such as Zephyr, but where Kashyyyk lacks in visuals, it makes up for in gameplay. I really enjoyed climbing the origin tree and getting a glimpse into the effects of the Empire on the planet. Overall, I think Kashyyyk is the best planet on your first playthrough as the story and puzzles are pretty good. Kashyyyk also gives you an insight into the backstory of the characters, with different Jedis appearing in the origin tree. Now this is a really cool aspect for the first playthrough as it allows you to kind of get a backstory of where Cal is going. Therefore, I feel that Kashyyyk is one of the best planets you can go to on your first playthrough of the game. And there we go, my ranking of the explorable planets in Jedi Fallen Order on my first playthrough. I cannot stress this enough. I do not despise any of these planets. This is only the best planets that I found the most enjoying during my first playthrough, with Kashyyyk being the most enjoyable and overall solid planet of your first playthrough, where you get the most story and gameplay that captures your attention and really makes the game more enjoyable. And remember, this is my opinion. If you have a different list of your favorite planets, please let me know in the comments. I hope you enjoyed this new style of video. Let me know if you did, and I will see you in the next one.